All right, everybody. Okay, so happy Sunday. We're tracking a couple of storms out there right now in southern Brevard and as well as Osceola County. So let's just break it down right here. A severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 6:15, so about another half hour or so before this gets expired. Why this was tagged was because of the wind as well as the possibility of hail with this storm. That's at least what the National Weather Service tagged this as a severe thunderstorm warning as. So as we just check that to see if there's any other updates. So right now, Melbourne, National Weather Service again calling for a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 6:15. This just popped up at the very end of our digital newscast on our Fox 35 website. So overall, we're continuing to see this polygon shrink down just a little bit, kind of accommodating for the space right now. But it's calling for the possibility of 60-mile-per-hour winds as well as 1-inch hail. So let me pop myself up right here. And so we're seeing a little bit of lightning associated with this storm and just off to the south, about 200 lightning strikes. So as we can see right here, okay, sorry, just making sure everything's all up on my end. There we go. Okay, severe thunderstorm warning again for central in eastern Osceola County. That has been expired as the polygon has shifted around a little bit, but it looks like a lot of rain and just a lot of wind associated with this at the moment. So what we can see right here, again, a severe thunderstorm warning if you're just joining us for southern Brevard County. So as we take a little bit of a closer look in, we're talking about the very southeastern corner of Brevard County, in the southwestern corner as well. So as we pop up our places here, there we go. We're talking about areas especially closer to opposite of Grant-Valcaria. So on the western side of the I-75 corridor, this is going to continue to make a northeasterly track or a straight easterly track ever so slightly. So we can see the storm moving at 22 miles per hour, calling for the possibility of hail. We'll talk about that in just a moment, and we'll also time it out to see when Grant-Valcaria, Mico, Sebastian will start to get hit as well. So let's clear this out very quickly. And it said that they were calling for the possibility of hail not being picked up radar indicated quite yet. But again, just because this one popped up pretty quickly, like right at the end of our newscast, wasn't seeing anything besides this severe thunderstorm warning. So really just taking a good first look at this storm at the moment. So just in the past 15 minutes, we saw this storm kind of bubble up just to the south of Kenansville. That's probably where they saw that hail. And as it's continuing to kind of rain itself out, as it makes its way into Brevard County, this is where we're going to be seeing almost that breakup of those storms. Backing up just about 30 minutes or so, started to really pick up some speed just over the Florida Turnpike, and now it's slowly starting to make its way over into Brevard County. So with this storm, again, we're continuing to see this storm make its way up, just probably going to be moving into the Grant-Valcaria area within the next 20 minutes or so. Again, not seeing any hail going into Brevard County, and it doesn't look like there was any hail. Oh, it did produce possibly some hail. So seeing the possibility of some hail just to the south of Kenansville. So possibly seeing in southern Osceola, central Osceola County, the possibility of some hail with that storm. And as it's making its way now into Brevard County, it looks like there's the possibility of a little bit of hail in there as well. It doesn't look like it's being picked up on one of the radar sensors, but it does seem the probability of it did seem to spike just a little bit in Brevard County. So as we take a look back at our reflectivity, pop it back to the next 15 minutes. Yeah, possibly seeing a little bit of hail in this little chunk right here. of this storm. You can still see that little bit of magenta, so probably holding that hail core ever so slightly as it continues to make its way up. But overall, we've started to see that lightning count go down a little bit with that storm, so that's good news right there. But as it continues to make its way towards Grant Valkyria, let's stop this lapse. And again, this storm making its way just ever to the northeast at about 22 miles per hour, so very slightly east-northeast. So let's actually take a look at our time of arrival with this storm right here. 22 miles per hour. Come on. There we go, good enough. So making its way towards Grant Valkyria and Miko, probably within the next 30 or so minutes with that. So then if we also take a look, clear here. This storm right here, bringing about 22 miles per hour, just to that ever so slightly east-northeast. Doesn't look like Grant Valkyria is in there right yet, but it should be making its way to the coastline probably within the next 45 minutes or so. But it doesn't look like it's going to be impacting Grant Valkyria quite yet, but it's going to continue to make its way across the I-95 corridor, excuse me, probably within the next 20 minutes or so. So it said it was moving at about 20 miles per hour. Yeah, so about 20 minutes in order for this storm to continue to make its way over the I-95 corridor, as it continues just to make that little ever so slightly east-northeast track. So areas across Grant Valkyria, probably not going as far north as Malabar, but Melbourne Shores, Evans Pines, Ballard Pines, probably going to be hit with this storm within the next 15 or so minutes. Popping back over to our severe thunderstorm warning, looking at any Facebook comments. If you live in this area and you have any storm reports, definitely let us know. We'll put this back on a little bit of a loop just to track this. Okay, so National Weather Service did get some reports of lofted hail in Kenansville, so southeast Kenansville is where they saw the hail core and the few reports of hail where we were seeing that earlier. So if we went back to our hail swath, right here is where we were seeing that hail reports coming in according to the National Weather Service. So just in southeast of Kenansville, that's where we did see some hail. Not seeing any hail reports quite yet from Brevard County, but let me switch back to our Facebook page, see if any folks are watching there. And we also are live on YouTube as well. So if anyone is watching from there and would like to put in their storm reports as well, definitely let us know. Alright, looks like we have a couple people watching on our YouTube page. Let's switch back to our Facebook page on this end. Seeing if anyone is putting any storm reports in quite yet. But we have a couple of people watching from Canada on YouTube, in Tampa Bay, on our YouTube page, so very exciting overall. But we're going to continue to monitor this storm. Again, if you're just joining us here, this is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for southern Brevard County. This did impact areas across southeastern Osceola County earlier, but now we're just looking at southern Brevard County for this severe thunderstorm warning. So something that I'm just going to pop up real quick right here. It wasn't even under a special weather statement. That's interesting, before this popped up. So a special weather statement, basically it's a storm of interest. It's not quite as strong as it needs to be in order to be a severe thunderstorm, but it's a storm that's very close. So that's something that we're going to be watching, but there's nothing quite tagged yet on any of the storms just to the south. I think it was just because of that hail popping up earlier in southeastern Kenansville that we saw that triggered this tag for the severe thunderstorm warning earlier. So it looks like all of these storms, as we continue to monitor these, again, keeping an eye on that severe thunderstorm warning, that should be expiring at 6:15, if not even a little bit earlier. So we're going to be watching that very carefully. But hopping back to our Melbourne chat, just to make sure nothing's happening in there. Continuing to monitor this storm right here, and I do want to take a look at those storms just to the south as well. It looks like these are just going to be making an ever so slightly northeasterly track right here. So popping off of these. So these are just little skits. These are little arrows just kind of showing the direction of the storm, and that gives us a good idea of where could be impacted within the next couple of minutes. So overall, just taking a look in southern Brevard, continuing to see the storm make almost a little bit of a split right here as it just updated. I think part of the storm is going to make its way more up towards Palm Bay, rest of the storm going to make its way more towards Fellsmere, Sebastian, Orchid, maybe nicking Micco as it makes its way just offshore. But we can see with these thunderstorms, they're continuing to make either an easterly track or an ever so northerly track, but mainly keeping to the east. We can see right here the storm again possibly impacting areas across Malabar as we head into the next couple of minutes or so. So again, probably going to be seeing more of this storm impacting the Malabar, Grant-Volcaria area within the next 20 minutes. So that's what we're looking with there. But these aren't your normal afternoon, evening thunderstorms of what we normally see. So just backing up in the radar real quick, usually during this time of the night and this time of the evening, usually we see the storms really picking up, but it's really like right along like the central I-4 corridor, and it's because of those sea breezes. And this isn't necessarily a sea breeze motivated cluster of thunderstorms that's picking up right now. So we can see right here a little bit of a radar lesson for everybody. When we see like little boundaries like these, you can see the kind of like this very wonky line of green continuing to make its way closer to Bithlo area. That's not rain, that is sea breeze. So it's a little bit of a boundary that the radar is picking up just because of the difference in air temperature of what the sea breeze actually pushes in. So what we can see right here is just this little almost arc. And usually when we see this arc, when there's a whole bunch of thunderstorms happening up across the region, they all produce these little boundaries. And when these boundaries collide, that's when they see these very intense thunderstorms very quickly pick up and then just as quickly die down. We're not seeing that today. We're just seeing a couple of these storms lingering across the southern part of the viewing area. Southern Osceola, southern Brevard County going to be impacted by this as we head through the rest of the evening. But overall, Orlando not really seeing too much, and I think we may see a stray shower a little bit later on, but other than that, I think it's going to stay pretty quiet. Doing a double check once again on these storms right here. Seems the lightning count has gone up a little bit with those thunderstorms in Indian River County, but I think this storm right here that's under that severe thunderstorm warning, that's going to rain itself out, and I wouldn't be surprised if that is going to be expired early. But backing up just a little bit more, if I still have it, I think I deleted it, unfortunately. That's okay. But actually, these thunderstorms that are popping up out there right now, they're actually due to that front that pushed through yesterday. So all of that rain that most likely woke you up early yesterday morning, it's kind of just sitting just to our south. So over Port St. Lucie, Jupiter, seeing a lot of rain out there at the moment. And that's just because of this boundary that's kind of just sitting over the south central part of central Florida. So what we can see right here, yeah, just to our south, we're kind of just holding this boundary. And it's not going to move, at least for the rest of the overnight tonight. So as this boundary kind of just sits here, it's generating all of these little storms that are over Yeehaw Junction right now and southern Brevard County right now. But that's really what's happening with those storms. It's not necessarily those sea breeze storms and those pesky sea breeze storms that are picking up today. It's that. That's really starting to generate those storms at the moment. I think we are still seeing some more. This Indian River isn't in our viewing area, but we are seeing the little bit of ever so slight wind shear. It does look like there may be a little bit of rotation happening in Indian River County. So when it comes to viewing areas, we follow county lines. So we are responsible for Osceola County as well as Brevard County. Hence, we're really talking about this severe thunderstorm warning across Brevard County. But Indian River County, that isn't necessarily in our viewing area. And we don't talk about it too much just because that's where Port St. Lucie and any of the news stations in South Florida really start to take over. But it looks like we're seeing a little bit of rotation just off to the south there. I'm surprised that that's not getting a warning quite yet, or at least a severe thunderstorm warning just with the lightning. But it does look like we're just seeing a lot of rain starting to make its way over the I-95 corridor. So if you're planning on traveling for the rest of the weekend, make sure you're being careful, especially if you were down by the beaches. Seeing a little bit of lightning, and I do want to check that as well. Okay, it doesn't look like there's any hail. It only looked like that small spot of hail was as this storm was starting to collapse as it's made its way over the Osceola County border. Nothing being said in our Melbourne chat right now. And Sean, you live in Jupiter and it's not raining. Let me switch over to our actual radar then. Okay, so we're just seeing a couple of storms just off to the north. And I think so the model was picking up some of these storms out here. Sean, again, who's in Jupiter, is seeing those storms that are just offshore, making its way. I think it was picking up that instead of right along the coastline. But yeah, that's really about it. Some of these storms, again, just picking up a little bit of strength as it's making its way in across Indian River County up towards Brevard County. But again, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be too surprised if that got expired even a little bit early. So overall, let me switch back to our Melbourne radar. So when we're using radars, we like to switch around a little bit. So this is using our Melbourne radar right now. So what we can see here is that this radar is getting a decent view of the storms. It's not too close, but it's not too far away. So when we're actually looking at the radar, it's shooting a beam at a very, very low angle, but the further you get away from the radar, the higher it shoots up. So we like to use a radar that's close, but not extremely far away in order to get the best view of the storm as a whole. So what we're seeing from Melbourne, this is a good distance away, maybe a little on the close side, but it's getting a good view of all the rain that's falling. And it's also, if it was rotating, it does not look like it's rotating right now. So it looks like a tornado or a funnel cloud, not a worry here with this storm right now. Looks like there was just a little bit of shear, but there's much more shear just to the south. But again, that's most likely only going to impact Indian River County. This was from earlier today and yesterday. But backing up to our storm relative velocity, we need a radar that's just close enough in order to get the view of what we can see accurately, but it can't be too far away either. So as we were tracking the storms yesterday, as they were coming in from areas across Gainesville and up from Tallahassee, we had to use the Tallahassee radar, we had to use the Jacksonville radar in order to get those storms coming in, and then actually switch to our MCO radar and then eventually our Melbourne radar in order to get the entire area and showing exactly where we were seeing those storms continuing to pop up. So from the National Weather Service right here, the severe thunderstorm warning for northwestern Indian River County and south central Brevard County, that has been expired. No more of a threat for hail or wind with this thunderstorm. So we'll wrap it up in just a few minutes. But again, today is June 1st, so we'll switch gears just a little bit. I'm going to continue to monitor these thunderstorms in southern Indian River County, and if they continue to make their way up into Brevard County, of course, we will hop back on and make sure you are staying weather aware and making sure you're up to date with the latest. But of course, today is June 1st, so something that I do want to switch gears to very quickly, and then we'll wrap up Today is the first day of hurricane season, and a couple of folks in our YouTube comments were saying that today is hurricane season. Good luck, Florida. And yes, that is a season where we are definitely a little bit busier than normal. Unfortunately, Florida is not all just beaches and sea breezes. It is a little bit more than that, especially when we talk about hurricane season. So right now I'm just switching back to our Facebook page just to make sure I'm not missing anything there. Oh, and it looks like we were seeing a couple of comments there as well. Sandra, not seeing anything in DeBerry or Deltona for the rest of the evening. Oops. Ian, you're saying that it looks like there's a funnel cloud in Sebastian. Let's actually take a look at that real quick, and then we'll circle back to hurricane season. So unfortunately, Ian, you are in. Oh, you're just on the Brevard County Court. Okay, so Ian, sorry, just reading through your comments very quickly. So you said you were in Sebastian. It does not look like there's any rotation there right now. There was a severe thunderstorm warning just off to your west, but I think overall in Indian River County, I think these thunderstorms here are just going to stay thunderstorms. There was a little bit of rotation with them earlier, and we can check back with that right now. Still looking like there's a little bits of rotation being picked up, but nothing that's too concerning. You will probably get rain, and we can track that right now. Again, this is Ian on our Facebook page that is writing in that I'm answering this question for. Okay, so this storm moving 17 miles per hour. Okay, so Ian and Sebastian, probably within the next 30, 35 minutes, 40 minutes, you'll start to see some rain moving into where you are. And no, there's not tornado rotation. Sometimes storms rotate with just because they were colliding with other boundaries, but we're not seeing that in this case. So this is just a nasty thunderstorm that you're probably going to see the remnants of within the next 45 minutes. So nothing to worry about there. That's the good news. But something, again, a couple of folks on our YouTube page are right on the money with this, that today is the first day of hurricane season, and Rat Madness wrote in on this. The day, again, first day of hurricane season, first day of Atlantic hurricane season. So here's what we're in for. Most of the forecasts predicting an above average season. Average season, 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes, 3 major hurricanes. NOAA is calling for between 13 and 19 named storms. Colorado State University calling for 17. NOAA this season calling for 6 to 10 hurricanes. Colorado State University is thinking very similarly, looking at 9 hurricanes. And then Colorado State University calling for 4 major hurricanes. NOAA is calling for anywhere between 3 and 5. So that's what we're looking at the prediction at the moment for our 2025 hurricane season. Both of these do get updated a little bit later on in the season, but overall, here's what we're watching. And why this could lead to a busier than normal season. So seeing a warmer than average ocean temperatures in the Atlantic, but luckily they're not as warm as what we were seeing last year. So that could be one of the warnings that one of the reasons why we could see a potential for a busier season. Another part of the reason is because of the El Nino Southern Oscillation phase that we're in. So we are coming out of a La Nina into a neutral phase. So ultimately, just what that means is that last year we were in a very strong La Nina phase, and this year we're going into a weak or average phase of ENSO. So not seeing extremely warm or not seeing extremely cold ocean temperatures in the Pacific can actually play a very big role of what we see here in the Atlantic. So that's going to reduce that wind shear a little bit. And when we have wind shear as hurricanes are starting to form, it actually rips them apart, which is good for us. But in this case, we might be seeing a little bit of that reduced wind shear, making those hurricanes a little bit easier to form. With more info on that, if you're still a little bit confused, it's kind of a tough pattern to explain. But if you're on my Facebook page, or if you would like to see our 2025 Tracking the Tropics Hurricane Special, you can either go to our Fox Local app and stream it there, or it's on my Facebook page as well. So just make sure you look at that or either of those, and I go into real in depth of explaining the difference between El Nino, La Nina, and why a neutral phase still could mean an above average season, looking at that. So make sure you go check that out if you're still a little confused. That's kind of just like the SparkNotes way of looking at that. But also we could be looking at more African monsoon season, or more active African monsoon season. And with that, we see more tropical waves coming off the coast of Africa, and that's what could fire that up. So overall, again, these are the numbers of what we're looking at this year. These are our 2025 Atlantic hurricane season names, starting off with Andrea, continuing to make its way down to Wendy. You'll notice that there are 5 letters that aren't on there. There's Q, there's U, and then of course there's X, Y, and Z. There is no names for that because really there's not enough common names in order to fill those every single year. So that's what we're going to continue to focus on as we head into a little bit later on this season. And of course, we'll keep you up to date with where we are in the list coming up once we start to see that activity pick up. In the month of June, though, we really key in on the potential of seeing that tropical activity where we see the warmest ocean temperatures. So right now, warmest ocean temperatures in the Gulf and making its way up the East Coast. So with that, that's warm water kind of just acts as jet fuel for tropical activity. And with that, this is where we could see the potential of some tropical activity start to pick up as we take a look at this just in June. Things shift around once we head into the later months. But usually when we start to see the first named storm, so this is Andrea for our 2025 list, that usually happens on average, and this goes back to, this goes back to 1840 with this data right here. A names going back and usually starting to pick up at about June 20th. B names are about July 17th, and then they just pick up from there when those floodgates really start to open and the water gets not only warmer, but we start to get those daily and back-to-back waves off the Atlantic. So fingers crossed, only forecasting fish storms that stay out in the Atlantic through this season, and that's my hope for this season, that we're not seeing any significant land-falling storms like we did last year, because getting hit pretty much back-to-back with Debbie, Helene, and Milton, all three pretty much, again, back-to-back. That was a really busy season, and of course a lot of lives were lost, as well as lots of properties were damaged. People lost their homes. So fingers crossed, Mother Nature is sympathetic to us and gives us a year to kind of recoup from all the damage from that. Good to know, though, no tropical activity expected for the first 7 days of hurricane season. And of course, make sure you're sticking with us here at Fox 35 for all of the latest weather information. We'll do one last check of the radar right now just to make sure nothing's firing up. But it looks like everything is behaving itself, continuing to calm down as it continues to make its way, now impacting the inlets of Indian River County, starting to bring a little bit of rain towards Grand Valkyria and Mico, keeping an eye on a little thunderstorm starting to pick up just over the Florida Turnpike. Let's do a quick check of that just to make sure there's no hail. No, so no hail with that. That's good news right there. But for now, we'll wrap up here. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thanks for spending some time on this Sunday here on Facebook. And if anyone has any questions, concerns, please feel free to direct message me. And also feel free to send me an email as well. Thank you to those who wrote in on our YouTube page, on our Facebook page, and have a great rest of the weekend. Be prepared and make sure you have the umbrella ready to go for this next week, because unfortunately, the daily afternoon and evening thunderstorms are back across Central Florida, probably from about Wednesday on. So be safe out there and have a great rest of the weekend.